Hello, good evening. This is Noah from Dream Hammer. This evening with me is Francesco and Andres from Ecosistema Urbano. And we are here in Madrid working on the redesign of Stuttgart Square in Hamar. The project is Dream Hammer. What happened lately? I was working in Hamar for the past 3 months, and I came back to Madrid 2 weeks ago to start working on the closing event and the final reports, and to establish connections between the online and the on-site workshops that are being going on for the past almost 3 months. This is why we have invited also Andres Walliser this evening. He's our missing link between the online and the on-site workshops. He's been leading the online workshops, Public Space and People, and now next week he will go to Hamar to lead the People workshop together with Muki Rian, and so he will have both the view of the online participation and the on-site, and we will talk with him about that later this evening. And so apart from that, last week we had the Environment Week. It started with Green Hammer that was commented by Belinda in the experience last Monday. And we also had since then workshops and lectures with our representative from the local community, Romy Ortiz, who is urban human geographer. Human geographer.
He's the urban sociologist.
And Jenny Pau, who is a building biologist from C2C. And what else? I have to go. Sorry. Okay, now we have everybody. And I think that we could start this evening discussion with Francesco, who will tell us a little bit about the online workshops that finished last week actually. And there were 2 topics actually.
Yes.
Maybe he can tell us more about that.
Yes. Hello everybody, thanks Noah for the introduction. So mainly I've been working until now to coordinate online activities, while Noah and Belinda was there in Hamar for the on-site activities. And maybe I can quickly show you how it was coordinated with the website. I will switch now to see the website. So we basically had 2 online workshops during the month of October. And you can find them if you go to the Digital Lab. You can see here the 2 pages of workshop, Public Space and People, which was directed by Andres Walliser, who is today with us, and also Tactical Urbanism. And the second workshop was coordinated and directed by Ethel Barona and Pablo Gonzalez, 2 architects from Spain. And so each one of these workshops has his own blog where participants can share contents, idea, proposal, and interact with other participants and also with us to produce and develop ideas around store target. So here, for instance, we are in the blog of Public Space and People. Here you have a very nice video we shot in Madrid, in the street in Madrid with Andres. Very urban video and very, I would say, very Madrid style. And below that you have a banner, a link for each of the participants, so you can have a look and comment to the work they are carrying out. And at the end you also have all the session of the workshops, because we think that it's very important to keep track of everything we are doing for a store target. And so here you have the first column is for a network design session, which is a session in which people can share their webcam and talk with us. So it's like a most interactive session where everyone can have space to speak and to interact with others. It works with an online tool which is quite new. It's Google Hangout from Google Plus. So sometimes it's like it's in a beta version, so it's very new. So we also had to get used to that, but it worked quite well, I think. So you can watch two example, and after that, in the second column on the right, you have open lecture, which are more traditional session. It looks like this Hammer experience, and basically here we have Andres giving a lecture, and people can interact through the chat like you today. By the way, if you have question or if you want to ask something about what we are explaining, no, that's fine. It's like a problem with live stream. I encourage you to use the chat to ask question. Me, Noah, and Andres, we will be glad to interact with you. I also wanted to add something which was the main debate of the last session of online workshop, and this is a very important point for us who have been designing and thinking about the whole process of DreamHammer. And the question is, which is the role of online activities, and which is the role of online workshoppers and participants? How can they help, or how can they design a square, a public space that is very far from them? They never visited. So we were wondering with participants and with Andres, and now we are discussing this with Noah. Which is the most important thing, which is the added value of that. I don't have a very precise and close idea about that, but I have some points which I would like to share with you, and I think Andres can also add something. The first one is that with online tools, with the internet, basically we can reach a lot of people from different countries with a few energy, because we can reach a lot of talented people who cannot move here in Madrid to work with us or to Hammer to know the city, and it is a very interesting point for us. And also I think the more important than that, it's the mixed network we can establish and create by letting people from different countries participate. It means that we can mix the vision from citizens from Hammer with different cultures and ideas, and very sometimes surprising vision about the public space. Another thing is, in general, here at Ecosystem Urbano, we believe that complexity could be a source of creativity, even if it's very sometimes difficult to handle with this big amount of information. By the way, I don't know if we have the time to talk about this, but I think this is the main issue of such a participatory process, because we have to handle with a big amount of information. And the last point that I really like is that I think that online tools help us to consider public space not only as a physical layer, the construction layer of the square, but as we are working with very immaterial tools like online session, the chat, the blog, and emails. I think we get used to think in the design like a very immaterial thing, and I think for public space is a very important aspect of architecture, because public space is about activities, about people, about perception, about how people use this space, and this is the main point we have been working out with Andres. The name of the workshop was Public Space and People, so it was not about the construction of the square, but it was more about activities and people. By the way, we also had in Hamar an activities week, a workshop focused on activities on the square, and I think this is very interesting. Someone said during a session with I don't know if it was with you or with Paco, I think it was you. Participation is like love. And I would say that somehow online tools are like magic, because what we are doing here, interacting with people from different places, working together, even if we are not together, it reminds me magic things, because it's like, wow. Well, we are quite used to that today, but I think this immaterial aspect is very interesting for a public space design. I don't know, Andres, if you want to add something about that.
Well, I think this has been a very, very intense experience for me too, because precisely this aspect you were mentioning, the idea of where you want to talk, let's talk. the idea of interacting in a project with people from different parts of the world, working on a project which is like 4,000 or 5,000 kilometers from here, or 3,000, whatever, I don't know how far Norway is now. And I think this has been very, very positive, because we have the chance of exchanging experiences, we have the chance of learning how Norway, people in Norway feel about participation, what do they feel about how do they use public spaces, what was special for them about public spaces, some key elements of public spaces that make them very identified, like the National Day in May, in which public spaces become an absolutely central element of the life of a whole nation. So it has been incredibly dynamic, and also the chance of working with people up there, from some stakeholders like the municipal architect or some cultural activists, in which I've been working with very, very closely, and I have met them, and we have become colleagues. We have exchanged. I have learned a lot. I think I have given them some new things too. So it is still actually becoming an incredible experience, an adventure, so to speak.
As I said, there's a true contrast between the online and the on-site workshops. Somehow the online workshops, as Francesco describes it, there's some kind of magic, and it's also people working from where they are on an idea they have developed remotely, and on the other side, on the on-site workshops, people are coming together in a mutual cause, which is the square, and the proximity, the physical proximity, bring them together, and also the responsibility of the community activator, the guests, is different. It's like here in the online workshop you're kind of the connector, or while in the on-site I see it more like how do you call it? Catalyzer. Yes. So
I think that it's quite. I will translate a little bit or modify what you're saying. I don't know if you agree. I think that if we think about Dream Hammer like a process to create a community around the Stortorget Square and the city center of Hamar, I think that in on-site workshops we are building a community around a physical space, using the space as the central point of this community. And in online activities, we are using, we have no space dimension because we are all together. I mean, even if we are far away, we work together with online tools, and we are building a community around a topic, which is the design of this public space. And I think the biggest challenge now is how to connect and build a strong connection between these two communities. I think this is and by the way, that's why you are going there. I think
the link.
You are the link between the
catalyzer. Yes. Well, I don't know. I think I don't know how our workshops are being visualized up there in Hamar. I don't know where you play them, right?
The online workshop.
The online workshop. It's by choice. I guess people are
okay. Because I think it would be very interesting. This is a completely new participatory experience for me, because generally most of the process I've been involved in is people you intervene in a place and people are invited and they go and they don't go, or they go once, or it's something also like for choice. But in this case, I think the fact that there are people from outside makes this whole process different.
Yeah.
Because there are people that want to be there, even if they're not like real estate holders, but they can contribute in a very substantive way.
And so for me, it's somehow you're coming with not a vision, but many different ideas that you have collected through these workshops, and it seems that it comes from different analyses, types of analyses, projects, and it's pretty interesting to see how it's going to develop. And maybe we can ask Andres a little bit about his work. Who are you?
I'm a stranger.
How did you?
How did I landed here?
Yes.
It's a long story actually, but that's it's in the article we just wrote for this journal in Hamar. I just explained very briefly what was my relation with Ecosistema, and I think it's interesting to mention it because it has a lot. I think it has a lot to do with Hamar. I was working for the city of Madrid in a regeneration of the whole neighborhood in the city center, which was in a very bad situation, and we had a European project. It was already approved, so we were going to start, and I went on holidays and I was checking online from the United States what was going on in that square, and suddenly this amazing project popped out in the screen. It was a group of people, a group of neighbors, with the support of a group of architects, which were Ecosistema Urbano, wanted to transform that part of the square, which was full of drug addicts, prostitutes, kids playing, old people. So it was a very, very mixed, intense views. They want to turn it into a part of it. They want to turn it into a beach. They want to put sand. They want to put some shelters, some shadows, and make of it a place, for leisure to be there and to stand for the residents of the city. And I thought it was a brilliant idea because I knew very well the place. And I contacted them like, okay, well, I'm going to work. We're going to make the regeneration of that neighborhood, and I'm really fascinated with this project. So after that, we become colleagues. We become very good friends, and we have been working together for like 6 years now, I think. So this is how I came. It was a similar project to Hamar, but in a very smaller scale, much smaller, and it was not an official project. It was more the initiative of a grassroots organization.
How long was it going on, this project?
This project actually, our role in that project was, that's what I was so fascinated with Ecosistema, because we were going to do a whole 1 year participative diagnosis in that neighborhood in Madrid, which is in the very center of the city, and it's one of the 4 neighborhoods that the central district of Madrid has. It's an 18th century district with a lot of problems, but also a lot of gentrification. So it has been going on, the regeneration has been going on for the last 3-4 years. Now it's almost finished. And the idea was to start with a whole year's process and with different stakeholders that range from both from the city, municipal actors, to citizen actors, business. So we have the grassroots organizations, we have the police, we have the health services, we have the social services, we have 3 or 4 neighbors associations, we have the prostitutes, we have the prostitutes association. We have a big range of people to work on with for a year in working groups. We decided first which were the hot topics, then we decided to make working groups on that and to have like a kind of we call it the motor group or the engine group or something like that, which was like the coordinators of the whole thing. So the idea was to pull out the whole process and find out through the people, the stakeholders, and it's not only the residents but also the municipal workers working together. And it was very, very challenging for both. What they wanted, what was needed, etc. So, but of course, Ecosistema didn't take part in that part because it was only the neighbors participating. But it was the start, and I think it was a quite interesting process, which is now it's finishing.
And what is for you then a successful participation process? How it seems that there are so many ingredients and so many
that's
things.
hard to.
It's hard to say. It's not like an architectural project when you can say, oh, we have the natural light.
Well, but I guess an architect, when you build a building, you always think in time, a long time. You always think that it should be improved, changed. Uses might change, different elements. Even the program of the building might change. And I think participation, as Francesco was saying before, I think it is certainly like love. It's not never reaches perfection. So you can never think, okay, now we have done this and it's perfect, because
like relationships. No?
Exactly, like love, like relationships, like democracy, like a lot of things that we live with and we want to.
I would say like living things, like not objects, but
living things are dynamic and they change and they evolve. And they transmute and they degenerate. So a lot of things go on with the process in a neighborhood. So how can a participation process be successful? When it is successful, when we have at least a part of the dynamics of that place. If we talk about the square, the public square, public place, if part of those dynamics, especially at the beginning, are the stakeholders, and I insist the stakeholders means residents, organizations around, like grassroots organizations, people working in the square, like from the municipality, business, so everyone involved with a certain given space, working together, deciding together, agreeing together, discussing, clashing, solving the conflicts by confrontation, etc., and doing it with the common outcome, which is our common target, which is to find out, what are the best options for that given public space. Although a lot of, in some cases, you kind of reach this because there's confrontation, there's fights. Some actors would just abandon the scene of participation. Some others would try to impose. But it's a matter of negotiating, of
politics.
It's politics, definitely.
Basically,
participation is definitely related with politics. Maybe not with necessarily party politics, which in a lot of cases it is the case, but certainly with micropolitics, with politics and psychology too, of small groups and small interactions and confrontations and negotiations.
And I would imagine that in this kind of processes you also discover new issues, no? I mean, how does like now in Dreamhammer, Stuttgart is the issue, but then some other issues develop through the process, and then
they come out, didn't they?
Yeah.
I mean, in Hammer, in a workshop, both us and the participants, which is also us together, it's a bigger us. We were finding out that we were very intrigued and we were very concerned about how the square of Stuttgart would articulate with the rest of the city, and that was something which we've been talking about. So how would it be when the square communicates with the sea, or with the lake, with water?
It's almost a sea.
It's so big. It's a huge one. It's a season. How would it be? What is going to be the impact of this over the square and off the square on the business areas of the city? How is it going to be on the new culture house? So immediately, apart from thinking about the square, we start thinking about other things
yeah.
that would have an impact on the square and are exogenous to the square. So that would be an example, and they will be coming out more.
More and more, yes. That's very exciting for, I think, municipalities to know like what kind of things they can develop as well further on. And can you explain to us, please, what is you are an urban sociologist. What is an urban sociologist? How you tricky about it?
No, I guess it's someone who works from a discipline which is sociology, but also more broadly, I think, should be social sciences, including elements of geography, anthropology, economics, of course, political science, and it deals with issues, or is interested in issues related with the city, which is very general, it's very vague. That's an advantage. But generally, I consider that urban sociology deals with the social process, the outcomes of the social processes, the outcomes of the policy process. Remember, figure out that most of the things we do in our lives are regulated by policies, by social policies, economic policies, urban policies. So the outcome of those policies are very, very important to understand the city and to understand the people living in the city. So that's, I guess, one of the fields of urban sociologists. Also, what the shape of the city. And I think also, just to finish with this, is that being a professional of one specific background, architect, sociologist, psychologist, whatever, doesn't limit you to that field. So we are continuously, or at least that's how I think it should be. We're completely exchanging and learning and soaking information, and that's why we are here. Because these guys here in Ecosistema are used to work with people from other fields of completely, engineers, sociologists, geographers, environmentalists, all sorts of people, and that's what you are here too, because we are forming a multidisciplinary team, and this is what makes sense to me when I think about urban sociology, urban studies, a kind of network of different backgrounds working together and finding out things together.
And as an urban sociologist, what is your observation of today's cities? Like, do you think? I think it's a big question. It's not in the list here, sorry, but I have to improvise according to what you're saying, because it's interesting it's an interesting topic. It's an interesting profession, and I have the impression, after going to Hamar, coming to Madrid, and moving around, that the world is getting smaller somehow, right? I mean, we are kind of moving so easily. And the internet is making it even easier. And what does it mean about and policies also? As you were saying, that we are very much dictated by the policies. And today, living in Europe, like there's kind of a tendency of having more European policies. What does it mean? I mean, do you think it's in what way is it positive, negative, or how does it influence us? Like,
I don't know. I think what I found fascinating. Despite all the things you're saying, which are right. I think what is fascinating now is that we're seeing something which has been happening in a lot of places in the world, and we haven't seen it because it's happening in places that nobody looks at, which are basically developing countries, the south. And this is there's the locality, the micro-local, the very, very local environment, the neighborhood, the small cities, the districts, streets. Are gaining importance, they're getting protagonism, and there are things going on there of incredible relevance for the whole city as a whole big living being. Yeah.
I think it's very related to the movement, because when we are moving from one country to another, we feel that it's easier to influence locally. I mean, actually, sometimes it's the only possible way of influencing, because when you're moving from one country to another, you don't have the right to vote, but so easily. But you have the right to work locally, and I think it's also something that you get the reward, or the influence more easily, and you can really take fulfillment.
That's right. That's interesting because in some, I think those European cities which are dynamic, that are known because, Amsterdam, Berlin, Madrid, Barcelona, London to some extent, I think, but also smaller ones. There is always a very important community of, at least of European people of other countries, and also from people from other parts of the world. The same if you go to some parts of Latin America or the United States, you always find people from different national backgrounds. But still, I think it is interesting to address this idea that now with the hyper communication and the communication technologies, we are becoming more and more, this is something which already is known, becoming more and more local, but our global dimension keeps on growing. So we can become local micro-activists, even 3,000 kilometers abroad.
With global influence, right?
Yeah, exactly. With all these devices we're working on.
Yeah.
And I think this empowers a lot of people. Also provides tools not only for this communication across the world, but also the micro level. And something which is interesting is that what it was meant to be the informational society, which was described in the early 90s as something completely different from the real society, virtual society versus real society, as two completely diverging models of interaction and relation. It seems some aspects of this theory are real. Of course, I think a lot of people are living more and more on a virtual world, and they don't really sort of step on solid land. But others, and of all sorts of origins, ages, nationalities, are also using the new technologies to make of them something very, very useful to mobilize people. So for a period of time, maybe I would say late 80s, 90s, or even late 90s, it was very hard to mobilize people because they would use the traditional means of mobilization, which is you belong to an organization, you were related, or you were affected by a problem. There was mobilizations, there was posters, banners, mouth to ear, stuff like that. But you have to be more or less related with that. Now it is easy to mobilize people around a topic which you don't really need to be involved with. You might just need to feel sympathized with or feel that it's fair or just. Also, you can mobilize to go with a pillow to Piccadilly Circus and start beating other people.
Yes, yeah.
Which is
or a water gun.
Or water gun or something like that, which is probably fun, but it's totally irrelevant. For humanity, although it appears it opens most of the news in the night.
Yeah.
But the good news about this capacity of mobilizing people that don't know each other is that even if you're not connected to a problem or to an issue, or you just sympathize with it, or you know a bit something about it, you can have information, you can even mobilize yourself, you can join it, you can meet other people, you can network, and this is getting this is having very interesting outcomes, I think, in a lot of cities in the world, and especially where we know more, which is the city of Madrid. There's a lot of action going on in the last 3-4 years around public spaces and people being mobilized or articulated through the new technologies.
I mean, I think it's internet is such a free tool, and it's filled with still somehow democracy and the possibilities of having a lot of things without a cost or with unlimited access, and that's, for me, it's also like the idea of reclaiming it physically more and more, because it is on the internet. I really hope it's really good. I hope it will stay that way, because somehow imagine what would happen if someone would decide that not to have this freedom online anymore.
Yeah, well, that's what's going on actually in some countries. Think about China, think about Syria nowadays. Think about a lot of countries in which there is a strong control over internet. Not only to avoid people communicating, but to prosecute and to catch and to hunt people that communicate. But this is the case of
forbid
China.
some topics also. I mean, that's the forbidden topics and the
exactly. Not only forbidden topics, but through Facebook, people are. I mean, people in Syria are being arrested because if you're in the Facebook network of someone which is involved into the rebellion, the whole networks show truly vulnerable. But on the other side, also, the internet has been the key to two very successful movements in the Muslim world, in Tunisia and in Egypt.
Yeah.
It was through the internet,
Twitter.
it was through Twitter,
Yeah.
it was through actually when those communications, in the case of Egypt, when those communications were cut, I mean the cell phones lines were cut, people really throw themselves to the streets to know
Yeah.
what was going on.
Yeah.
So it's always these kind
Physical,
of two ways.
virtual,
Exactly, this
influence.
interaction. But
You
also,
can never stop us, huh? I mean, if you stop us virtually,
yeah, but
we'll
also,
come
well,
out,
I have to say something
yeah.
about this. It's always also this tension between the possibilities of communication, the possibilities for democracy, for participation, but also the gap between the people that have access to that and those who don't. We're talking about in terms of social class, of age, of ethnic origin. I mean, there are a lot of variables that make people keep people out of these worlds of communication we are enjoying so much.
I would like to say something about that. Okay, I'm at the same time looking to the chat. We have some connection problem, but I think now it's better. Okay, I wanted to add that I think this is a very what you were mentioning about movements in Egypt or even what we have been living here in Spain. I think this is a very important point. It's stopping. I don't know why. It's a very important point for also for Dreamhammer because yes.
Okay, now.
Because I think that this is the point in which we are closing the circle of why we are using internet for communicating, why we are using internet for democracy, and why it's related to architecture and to public space. And I think that if we start drawing the circle from the physical space, and then we go to the very immaterial dimension of communication, we have like a sprawled structure, like we have a network around the physical space, we have a network in the digital which maybe it's not connected, and what we have been living with demonstration in street and movements, Spanish Revolution or such thing. I think that we are going back to the public space through the internet, you know. Yes. So I think it's a very important point, and it's exactly the same that we were mentioning for Hammer. We need to close this circle. We need to put online workshop, online network together and connect it with the on-site one. I think this is the challenge, and I think that the recent event in Egypt and in Spain and all over the world, it's like confirming that there is a power in this.
I think the element that makes it interesting is that the capacity when a public space works as a public space and it has the capacity of evoking people, thoughts, meanings, identity, different things, it becomes a place. And I think what we're talking about is the capacity of the new technologies to, you were saying, Francesco, of taking us back to the public space and making the public space again somehow some sort of give it some sort of protagonism in our lives. And this is the key to understand the 15M in Madrid.
Yes, but maybe I have to explain better why I'm insisting in this like of diagram which I see in my mind, but it's not it's not clear, and it's that because I don't know how to do. You see, it's not working. Maybe we can stop and we reconnect. No.
It says now it's definitely.
Yes.
It says
Okay.
the internet.
Because, for instance, a few years ago, when we were starting talking about connection between new technologies and public space, there were a lot of negative reaction to that because it was not clear where it was the link. Okay. Why are you talking about new technologies if you are an architect or if you are designing a public space? And I think that now it's clear. I mean, we have a new meaning for that. So we can now act in public space using this technology, and this is very clear now how we can use this technology.
And not only I think again there's a problem with the internet connection.
Okay, let's make a test.